Greetings, guys, girls, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Recently, I was on a search for some content and things to talk about, and I fell down a little bit of a rabbit hole of looking at some red pill podcasts because I don't know, but that's where I ended up, and there's a lot there that I want to talk about. So today, that is what we are going to talk about. I don't actually know if I've ever done a video that is about like red pill podcasts as like a general thing. So today's video is dedicated to that. So buckle up because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. But before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Sasha. I appreciate you and all of your support so much, so thank you for joining. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat. Starts as little as £1 a month, and it means a lot. Yeah, all right. Anyway, let's get into some red pill podcasts. Now, if you don't really know what that means, it's basically just men who prioritize manipulating women above everything else, you know? That's not the technical term of what red pill is, but that's kind of what it is. It's like their entire life is dedicated to picking up women, and they all hate women. And yeah, I think that's all you need to know before we get into it.
You know what, babe? That picture in the bikini, I don't like it. Don't post it. What you gonna say?
I'm gonna post it anyways.
She don't respect her boyfriend too. That's another thing. Like obedience is a requirement of a woman to her man, and the fact that if he told you don't do that and you would defy him, that tells me already that you don't respect him. He's a placeholder boyfriend.
Facts.
I respect him, but I'm not gonna tell him what to do, just like how he should tell me what to do.
Hold on. You can't tell a man what to do because the man is the authority in the relationship. If I'm responsible for providing and protecting you, then I have authority over you, which means I'm responsible for you. So therefore I can delegate and or lead you and give you like orders, right? If you don't obey, then how's it gonna work? How am I supposed to be a leader and have all these responsibilities with zero authority? That's the problem with women. They think, oh, I want a 50-50 partnership, but when anything hard comes up, I want you to go ahead and step over and be a man. If you want a man to be a man, that inherently means he has authority over you, he's a leader, and you follow his lead, which means you must do what? Obey. But y'all want to pick and choose when to be a lady, which is a problem.
Yeah.
Sneeko is quite honestly one of the just worst people. Just the worst. There's a bunch of stuff in here, but like first and foremost, good for these girls being like, I'd fucking post it anyway. You can't tell me what to do. Like, yeah, exactly. No man has authority over me. No one has authority over me. It is not your or anyone's job to look after and protect me. It's no one's job to do that. You know, I can look after myself. I am just fine. Like, you can obviously, like, you know, help me feel safe and help me in situations where I may not be safe, but that's just called being a good person, you know? Like, when I protect people, I'm doing it because I care about them, not because they owe me anything. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm accompanying someone to something that is, like, scary, that is me providing protection, if you can put it that way. But you know what I expect in return for that? Nothing. Just maybe that they do the same for me sometime if I ever need them, you know? You don't get to control what people do. I love, like, I'm not gonna tell my boyfriend what to do, so he can't tell me what to do. Well, yeah, you can't tell him what to do because you're a woman. No. Relationships are equal. You can't live your life wanting women to bow to you and you control them, because that's literally that's the definition of abuse. Which, you know, he is an abuser, so it's unsurprising that he thinks that that is a normal relationship dynamic. He scares me a lot because he reminds me of my ex a lot. I see a lot of my abuser in him, and how he functioned was that I would still have to do everything for him. Everything was still my responsibility. I had to fix his life. I had to do everything. I had to be everything. These men love to think they have control, right? Like, they love to control you while you do literally everything. Like, you will be in control of actually doing things and getting shit done, right? They make a decision and then you have to do it, or there are consequences. You have to follow their rules, but you are doing everything. And that's just the way it goes. And yet they're here like, I am the man, I am in control, you do what I ask of you. It's like, bro, you're not capable of doing anything for yourself though. You rely on women to do literally everything for you. And you think that you are stronger and in a better position in life. You can't do shit and you wouldn't survive on your own. Anyway, slightly personal, that one there. And like that all aside, being like, as a man, I am a leader. I am the leader. Do you know what a leader is? Do you know what a leader is? A leader is someone who considers the team. A leader is someone who puts their team's wants and needs above their own. A leader is someone who makes sacrifices, who takes everyone into consideration. A leader is someone who is compassionate and kind. A leader is not selfish and controlling. A leader asks everyone what they want and they help come to a compromise. That's what a leader is. If you were explaining being a leader as a dictator, you're not a good leader. Not that you should be a leader in a relationship anyway, that's not how this works, but like even still, you aren't a leader, you're a dictator. And that is a very different thing. That is not the type of leader anyone should ever aspire to be. If your partner having a body bothers you, then maybe you shouldn't have a partner, you know? If people just perceiving your partner bothers you, be alone. Deal with it, all right? You don't get to control other people. You have to respect them.
It's just knowing who's on your level.
But is finding someone to sleep with really
Billy,
on this?
please come
Yeah,
in.
I have across platforms probably over 800,000 followers that are all single men. That's why they follow me for dating advice. And I get thousands of messages every day from attractive guys that cannot get a date. And the messages are fucking sad. Like, girls are not aware of the crisis out there that men are facing in the dating world. I don't think you can speak on it because you don't know about it. You don't see them. You have no idea how sad it is. Like, I cry about it when I read the messages.
We're gonna take a minute here to do some maths real quick, okay? So, there is about an even split of men and women, right? Like, there's a pretty fair split. And most people are heterosexual, and even most queer people still date men. About half of the population date men. So by that, right, if you're gonna put people together, there is about an equal number of single men and women who date each other, right? There is about a similar amount. So if there is an epidemic of single men, there is also a ton of single women as well to match that. And you don't see us crying about it in people's DMs complaining about how we can't get a boyfriend and how it's so difficult and like men owe us and how dare men not respect us and like we're just too nice, we can't get a date no matter what we do. Like, no, we're not doing that. You know, and like a lot of the time, yeah, we'll, you know, maybe blame men for it. And maybe we are blaming these men, the type of men who think that we owe them something, the type of men who think that they're too good for us, the type of men who are like Sneeko, who are like, you have to do everything I ask of you. I'm a nice guy, but you have to obey me and follow my strict set of rules. Because there are a lot of men like that. And just because these men are physically attractive doesn't mean they are good men. It doesn't mean they are dateable. You can look pretty and be a shit person, you know? Like, the type of men who are crying in your DMs about how women don't want to date them are not typically very dateable men. Yeah? Like, they're not. They're not. They are the type of men who have, like, ridiculous standards that they expect to go one way. They want women to bring everything to the table while they bring nothing but themselves, you know? They think that women owe them everything. And that's why they're single and in your DMs crying that they can't find a woman to love them. I'm sorry, but the amount of single men and the amount of single women, it's not that different. So you can't sit here and be like, you have no idea what it's like for men. We do, because we're single too. We just don't cry about it all the time. We don't think men owe us their attention, you know? Like, come on. Be So for real.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Does Destiny fulfill you?
Yeah, of course.
So then, why is it open?
Because we like to fuck around.
So he doesn't then.
They have an open relationship.
Yep.
You're 100% open.
You can try to put on your insecurities out there. That's fine. Are your women not enough for you? You have a one-sided open relationship, right?
Because you said that you love him for him.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
But if you did, why go somewhere else?
Well, why do you fuck other women?
No, because I want to, but you. You said
because I want to.
No, you said earlier.
Does that mean that you don't love your women? Does that mean that you don't love your partner because you go fucking other people?
For you, yeah.
No, for you. I'm asking
not for
you.
me, for you.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Same logic.
And I'm confused.
Do you understand that?
I definitely do.
Yeah.
Do you?
Why do women always have a double standard?
I don't know.
How is it a double standard when I have an open relationship? He also has an open relationship. We're just pointing like the Spider-Man. Do you not love your partners?
Huh?
You don't love your partners, your girlfriends. You have several girlfriends, right? Or do you have one? Yeah, do you love them? Do you love your girlfriends? Ooh, I can hear them right now be crying out there, okay?
This is so amusing. How is he sitting there being like, yeah, no, that is how it works for me. But like, I'm asking about you. She's, yeah, no, I'm the same. Yeah, but like, no, you're not. You can't be the same. You're a woman. You're a woman. I, as a man, can have a girlfriend and sleep with other women, and that's fine. I'm satisfied with my partner, and I still get to have sex with other women. It's great. But why do you do it? I do it for the exact same reasons. No, that doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, you can't do that. Do you not love your partner? Is your partner not enough for you? Are you not satisfied? Do you have to seek satisfaction from somewhere else? Bro, it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. I cannot believe how much this just completely... He just can't internalize the fact that women are, in fact, human people who are capable of love and satisfaction, and also having a sex drive, and also, you know, loving someone and trusting someone and not being possessive or treated like an object. I don't understand, bro. Just because, as she says, just because you don't love your partners and you aren't satisfied with any of your partners because you refuse to let yourself have emotions, doesn't mean she can't be satisfied and love one person while also having sex with other people. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not your relationship in the first place, so it doesn't really impact you at all. But like, my God, the way that they cannot understand that women can have feelings and also have sex with other people without feeling, wild. It's wild that they don't get it. It's just so incredible how much they disconnect from women. And I mean, they have to view women as like separate to them. Otherwise they can't justify the way they treat us, right? They have to dehumanize women. Otherwise, how are they going to get away with abusing us all the time and using us and not seeing us as people? You know, they have to disconnect. It's just so fucked up. I actually then kind of fell down a small little rabbit hole of her videos because I was looking through the red pill tag and she uploads a lot to this. So her name is Melina, and she and her husband go on shows like this regularly, right? They go on all these shows and they debate these people, and they're pretty good at it. She's pretty good at it. Most of her uploads are just her completely just like owning them. And like that clip where they look so stupid. So she's ready to go with all these debates and all of these answers. And like a lot of the time, you know, the people they get on these shows are not ready. They are taken advantage of. They're deliberately like hit and like made to look stupid. Not her. She goes in fully prepared. She knows everything she wants to say, and she is able to say it, and they look stupid. And she has all the footage that she gets to upload, and it's great. Obviously, they never will, but she gets to, which is fantastic. So I went through a few of her videos, so I've got a couple of them.
Melina, you're married to Destiny. Shout out to Destiny. If Destiny was broke and 300 pounds, would you be in love with him and married with him?
I would be in love with him, yes.
Bullshit.
I mean, you could say that. I'm being honest. I like him for his opinions.
So pretty,
I like him for the
capping,
way he is.
beautiful.
His
Like,
humor. I like him for his intelligence. That's the things that I love him for.
So does intelligence pay the bills? intelligence and his heart.
Because it's you, it's the
But
personality.
that's
it's
what
not
pays
your
the bills.
It's not your money.
So if you're homeless and you have no car and no house, nothing to feed the kids.
Why do you want to
but you're
go to
gonna,
the
like,
most extreme examples?
Because-
I'm not attracted to people that have cars and money. That's not what I'm attracted to. Because people like you are only attracted to those things. You would ditch your guy right away.
My guy
of course
makes
you
less
would.
than me,
But
way less
why
than
in that
me.
case? Yeah, but why the fuck are you arguing and saying that I would leave in that? Because if you're the same as
Women
me.
look for men that have resources that can be present.
But clearly
provide,
you don't.
protect.
You just told me you're not, right?
I know I'm only darling.
Yo, so you're gonna tell me how I feel?
It is wild the amount of hypocrisy in this room. It's just sitting there being like, but you're saying the same thing as me. Yeah, but I'm different. Sitting here and telling this woman who feels the same way as you that she's lying is like unbelievable. And I always find it's fucking ridiculous to me because so many of these podcast clips and so much of this is always them asking about money and what they find attractive. And every time women try to say money doesn't matter, height doesn't matter, everyone just yells going, cap, you're fucking lying, you're obviously lying, of course you're lying. It's like, you're not. So there's really no winning, because if I'm answering my truth, which is that I don't give a fuck, you're gonna say I'm a liar. But then if I answer and say that I do care and it does matter, you're gonna be like, see, fuck women fucking suck, fuck all of you. Like, bro. Not all women are the same. For one, we all have different desires and different interests and different things that we look for. But a majority of people don't really care that much. It's this thing of like, a lot of the time, and like, brace yourselves for this, a lot of the time, women want to date men who are taller and who make more money than them, because otherwise the men can feel insecure and take that out on their partner. You know? You don't want to be at the other end of an insecure man. And a lot of short men who have taller partners, not all the time, obviously, but a lot of the time that insecurity can lash out, you know? Same with men who make less money than their partners. Sometimes that makes them insecure and it makes them lash out. So women don't want to have to deal with that, you know? So just avoid it. It's not that they're attracted to resources and attracted to height. They're just not attracted to the insecurity that comes from those men and the way that they then turn around and treat you. You know? Like, I'm not speaking for everyone, but based on some conversations that I have seen and been a part of, that is a big factor. And like, also, I see it all the time in these like interviews and stuff, and they come up on Twitter a lot, of like the level of income these people like seem to think women expect from a partner is ridiculous. They're like, would you date a man who earns under 200k a year? I'm like, yes. Yes. And they're like, oh my god, you're one of the good ones. 200k is a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know anyone who makes 200k a year. I wouldn't expect a partner to make 200k a year. I would barely expect a partner to make fucking 50k a year. You know? Like, I'm fucking 23. I'm not expecting anyone to have like a full-blown career with like incredible earnings right now. I'm still expecting people to be working fucking minimum wage jobs. You know, like, who gives a fuck? As long as you're able to live and support yourself, it doesn't matter. And even then, you know, like, you can figure shit out. Her being like, so if you were homeless and you had no car because your husband had no money, she has a job. She makes her own money. You know, like, if I'm going to expect my male partner to support me, why aren't I expected to do the same in return should they need that of me? You know? Like, obviously having money helps in the sense of, you know, you kind of need money to live, but it's not the most important thing about a person. I'm not going to rule someone out because of how much money they do or don't have, because it's not important. It's not important. And just because you value that in a person and a partner doesn't mean shit. And that's the thing with these men, as I was talking about projecting and insecurities, like, they want these women to say they'll only date rich men because they have money, and they want to hear that they have more of a chance of being successful. They want you to say, yeah, I would date you because you have money, but I'm not going to date these other men. It's so they can be told that all the shit they've done in their lives and the amount they've worked themselves is worth it because now women will date them. Not true. Not true. That's not how it works. Just be a good person with a good heart who like allows himself to love and feel emotions and be respectful, and then you've got a good shot, you know? It's fucking, oh my God.
How does a woman oppress you?
Her purity.
There's nothing else going on there.
It's respect.
There's not like how passionate is she or what experiences does she have. Nothing like that. It's just like how pure is she? How untouched is she? Like a child.
That's it. That's what you
that's
care
not
about.
It, but it goes a long way for a man to be able to have those experiences with you instead of having to step in and change your mind. You know what I mean? So if you've been dealing with a man for
so you want to mind control a
no,
child?
it's not control. It's just having that shock factor. Just having that ability to say, I'm the one who gave her these prefaces.
Pride
she got it from me.
It sounds like you're trying to find someone really
To,
young
like,
with no
shape them or
experience
something,
that
to,
is
like-
because you're so insecure that someone else might have been beforehand there.
Adam, why would
That's
you
what
want
it
a
sounds
woman
like.
that had experience with other? Why,
Because you're insecure.
how would you feel,
dramatically.
Adam, if a woman came up to you and y'all got together and y'all getting ready to do the do, and she said, "Hey, this is my favorite position." Instead of, wouldn't it be better if
All right, you want me to answer that?
Tell you that, or
I'm like, all right, let's give it in then. What do you mean? Brother,
older
I
girl
don't
will
want
tell
a
you
virgin.
that.
Actually fucking vile. It's like actually so gross. As she was saying, yeah, so you want a child. Because like literally just straight up sitting there being like, I want someone who I can manipulate. I want a blank canvas. I want a person whom I can make all of the decisions in her life. I can make her think the way I think. I can make her do the things I do. I can make her do everything that I want. And like the problem with these men is that a lot of women already have opinions and, you know, we are people. So they'll either go for like literal children or they'll get someone reasonably young and they'll just break them. Because children also already have formed opinions. They're just more likely to let them go if an adult is telling them that they have to. Children are very easy to break, unfortunately. And like the way that it's just straight up just wanting to break someone and manipulate them to exist as a person you've created, like a child, like your own child, is so vile. That's so gross. It's disgusting. Oh my God. I do love the other guy though being like, and he's also a red pillar as far as I'm aware, being like, bro, I actually don't know what you're talking about right now. I don't know what you're talking about. You are on your own. You're on your own on this. What the fuck? I'm going to put a trigger warning here for mentions of abuse. So if that is going to be triggering for you, then please skip to this timestamp.
If there's someone that's very, very young and goes into a marriage and has kids when they're like 18, 19, 20, a year into the relationship, it gets really, really abusive. Even though it might be rare from what you guys think.
It is.
If it would happen, what would you recommend for those people? Would they divorce or do you want them to keep going in the relationship?
Keep going. You can't divorce. That's not a real thing.
Even though it might be like physically abusive?
You got to endure. People are too...
You want to stick in the
People
relationship?
are just...
I mean, look,
people
I'm gonna be
nowadays
honest.
are just...
For anyone that might be in that situation, what would you recommend?
Okay,
endure.
I'll tell
Would
you
they
what.
give up
I'll tell you what.
divorce?
It is such an extreme example that I can't give a prescription for what other people should do.
What about if two people get married, they have a kid, and then the wife starts cheating? Do you think they should divorce?
Absolutely. Jesus himself said in cases of adultery, divorce is
So you think that
permissible.
divorce is worse than physical abuse?
For the children?
Or cheating, sorry. You think that
Cheating
cheating
is
is worse than physical abuse?
For the
Sorry.
children, yes.
Absolutely
I think I'm not going to say this is worse.
Divorce
I mean,
is worse for the children.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Abuse is so much worse. Abuse is the worst thing to happen in a relationship, you know? For like, let's say it wasn't happening to the kids and it was the husband abusing his wife, right? And the kids see that and that fucks them up for multiple reasons. One, kids don't really like seeing their mothers being hurt. They don't really like that. Yeah? And abuse breaks you as a person. It breaks you as a person. So it makes being a mother much harder. It makes being a person much harder. So you've got a parent who is angry and abusive, and you've got a parent who is scared, you know? And you are showing those kids that that's what a relationship is meant to be. You are teaching your kids that abuse is normal and it is okay. The best thing for the kids in that situation is a divorce, because that is showing them that that is not okay. And also, a lot of kids would like their parents to have divorce. A lot of kids who are in households with, even when parents aren't abusive, even when they're just not happy, kids really want a divorce for their parents and would be happier and better off for it, because they are constantly being taught what relationships are. They learn from their parents. And if your parents are unhappy, you're going to be unhappy. And if a divorce means they're happier and they become more active parents, the kids are going to be better off for it. And that's like, you know, a good scenario, right? When a parent is abusive, they are more often than not also abusive towards the kids. The kids will also suffer from abuse. Yeah? But it does not usually stay between partners, because abuse is like controlling people. When you talk about domestic violence, it's usually violence against women and children. Those two things go together, you know? And domestic violence can obviously be against men and others as well. It's just primarily, a lot of the time, children are involved, and women can abuse their children as well, right? Divorce is very, very, very necessary. It's very difficult, but very necessary. I've never seen people straight up on camera so confidently admit to being abusers and just wanting to continue to abuse people. It's just straight up them being like, no, I want to abuse my wife and she's not allowed to do anything about it. But if she does one thing to hurt me, she's out of my life forever, because how dare she? How dare she hurt me? It's so fucked up. I cannot believe that people like this exist and they say shit like this so confidently. And they're just screaming that they're abusers, just like on social media. And people fucking eat it up. These men like this should not be allowed near women or children, in my opinion. They just shouldn't be allowed near women or children. Or men, honestly, because men are learning some things from them that they really shouldn't. So jail. I'm dead serious, because like, if this isn't a confession for abuse, I don't fucking know what is. I honestly don't know what is. If them sitting here being like, women need to endure abuse, they need to deal with it. They're such fucking pussies now. Women don't tolerate shit. I should be able to abuse my wife, and she has to deal with that. She's not allowed to leave me. Just preemptively jail. Yeah? I know that like abusers don't go to jail. That's not anything. That doesn't fucking happen. That's ridiculous. Why would they do that? But like, they should, for one, and these people should too, because they've guaranteed to have abused people in the past. They're doing it right now, and they're going to continue to do it in the future. And it's disgusting. And they're just on the internet raving about it. And this is why we are scared of men, right? This is why we don't trust men. Because of shit like this.
If your man comes to you and says, listen, I don't want you to have guy friends, you need to truly understand that any guy that's acting like your friend wants to sleep with you. Okay. And every other man knows it. Okay. And anybody that says otherwise is a liar. Not all men want to have sex with all women, all right? Rule number one. Because like, this is always so baffling to me, because these men like to sit here and say that they have really high standards in the women that they are attracted to, right? Like, they have really high standards. They don't want this or this. You need to be this and this. But then they're also like, men want to sleep with everyone. Which one is it? Which one is it? Do you have ridiculously high standards about who you sleep with, or will you have sex with literally any woman? Because you cannot have both. You cannot say that men want to have sex with every woman and also say that you have really high standards, because I mean, all women are fantastic. You are right. So I guess maybe it does make sense. But like, according to you, it doesn't. So like, pick a fucking story. And then two, and this is something that I've never really understood. Why does someone else's desires impact you? Why does it matter if someone else wanted to have sex with me? Like, why does it fucking matter? Like, I feel like I'm slightly more betrayed in that situation in which I have a friend and they just secretly want to sleep with me the whole time. Like, I'm gonna feel a little bit weirded out by that. But like, in general, like, why does it matter
if someone has a crush on me? Why does that threaten you? What does that have anything to do with you? You are my partner. I have no intention on doing anything with anyone else. Like, surely that's enough. Why does it matter if someone else has a crush on me? Like, why does it matter if someone else wanted to sleep with me? Like, I don't understand how that impacts things at all. It literally doesn't matter. It like affects nothing. Get over it.
If you're with a girl, are you okay with her having male friends?
Hell no. Because you got me, you got your boyfriend, me, you got my brother, you have your uncle, your father. How much more masculine figures do you need? You already have your father, your brother, your uncle.
Now, if we're talking about, like, at work, you okay with them being friends with or friendly with males?
My girl ain't gonna be working. I'll tell you right now, my woman, my wife will not be working at all. Because at that point, we're going to be good. Because, one, I understand how men think.
Yeah.
That's just in general.
It's not the fact that we don't trust her, it's that we don't trust other men.
I may trust my girl. I may trust my girl, but I don't trust these men.
But when you say something to them about that, it's a big fucking deal.
They think we're insecure.
No, we're not insecure. We know how to fuck other men think.
Actually, I think that makes us pretty secure if you really think about it.
We're territorial as well. We want what we have. We want it to be ours.
Exactly.
Okay, well, there's a lot to unpack in that, but I'm gonna stick to the one line that's always sticks out to me, which is, it's not that I don't trust her, it's that I don't trust other men, because I know how they think and what they do, right? So, what I've got here is a confession. It's a confession that you would assault someone. And you're all sitting in this room acting like you're having this perfectly innocent conversation when you're straight up saying, I sexualize and objectify women without their consent and I would assault them. I trust my girlfriend. I trust her. You know, I trust that she wouldn't cheat on me and she wouldn't do anything that would hurt me or upset me. But other men, I know what they're like and I don't trust them not to do anything. So you would then. That's what you're saying? You would do something. And I also hate the implications of this. Of like, how if something did happen, like if your girlfriend was assaulted, you would blame her and you would call it cheating. I just want to put this out here right now. If someone is assaulted, they need your support. They did not do anything wrong. That is not cheating. That is not being unfaithful or doing anything to hurt you. They are hurt. Yeah? Like, you can't try to control your partner because you just suspect someone is going to assault her. Like, that's ridiculous. And then it's so fucked up because these are the same men who will say, like, not all men. It's like, we're afraid to walk alone by ourselves. We're afraid to do all this shit. Like, we don't want to go home with you on the first date, etc. And it's like, why are we suffering the consequences for other men's actions? It's not all men. You literally just said you don't trust men. And you expect me to? The chances of me being sexually assaulted is relatively high. You know, like the amount of men who would assault me is relatively high. I don't know who to trust. You apparently don't either because you're suspicious of all men. So am I. Like, how can you have both of these narratives going at the same time? It makes no fucking sense. These men just love to speak out of their ass. They just want everything to be right for them. They want everything handed to them. They think everyone owes them the fucking world. They think women owe them everything. Because they don't view us as people. They view us as property, which we know because they said they were territorial and what's ours is ours. I am not yours. I don't belong to you. I am a person. You are a person. You know? We can support each other and make each other happy and just live life together. But I do not belong to you. You cannot be territorial over a person because we're people. Trust your partners. Let them have friends. Don't control them. Just exist and live life together and be happy. All right, I actually had a few more of these, but gone a little bit over the deep end. And I'm afraid if I go one more, I'm never coming back. So, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I got very angry today. Men piss me off. They just really piss me off. I've watched these TikToks. I spent 3 days doing this, so I'm just at my wit's end a little bit. I hope that you enjoyed the result, and you can go angry type in the comments now. Please leave your rants below. Don't forget to put trigger warnings where they are necessary. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Harry, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Danielle, Anoli Like Cannoli, Elias, Apollo, Taylor's Trying, Boston, Chris, and Amelia. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, music stuff, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.